All right. Hi, I'm Profson. I'm here with Gale and Hydros. I'm fairly new to Genshin Impact, and we figured Gale can give me the good, correct runaround on my first playthrough, and Hydros has a few questions as well. Since it's the very beginning of the game, I figured I'd start with asking you, should I be re-rolling my account?
Alright, so first and foremost, hello everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a lovely day, evening, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Of course, re-rolling is a very significant part of any gacha, pretty much. You know, the first thing you go into a gacha and you ask, oh, is it smart to re-roll in the gacha, or can I just, jump straight in without having to re-roll? With Genshin, it's kind of interesting purely because there's a couple of reasons why you shouldn't re-roll. Of course, getting the pros out of the way for re-rolling, you're effectively skipping the atrocious rates, arguably, and you're getting a 5-star off the bat. Maybe somebody that you like off the looks of it, or based on his skill set, or their skill set, I should say, and whatnot. But at the same time, as I said, there are a lot of negatives, or there are potential negatives to re-rolling in Genshin. Primarily, for the first one, and probably the biggest one, is the risk of getting banned. Recently, I think a day or two before the launch of Genshin, the official forums posted a effective thread regarding the banning of accounts that had suspicious activity on them. This included not playing for too long and a couple of other things. So it was evident that they were kind of gearing up towards potentially banning people from the game, and there were rumors and actual evidence that people were getting banned on the Chinese server when the open beta started around 2 weeks ago in China. So initially that threat is there. We haven't heard anything in the last couple of days apart from some people getting shut down for running scripts on the game effectively for re-rolling and some other things. But beyond that, we haven't heard of anything too serious. So we are still in the unknown in regards to whether re-rolling is going to be deemed legal, or, well, legal I say, whether re-rolling is going to be a ban-worthy offense or not. We are still uncertain on that, especially if it's for personal use only, rather than selling and giving it to a third party for some reason. And the second reason why you shouldn't reroll, in my opinion personally, and that is because of the time it takes to reroll. The fastest reroll that we have had so far apparently is around 26 minutes, and this is if you want to summon on the rate-up banner. So it's a question of if you want to put in the time investment to reroll. I know a lot of people who ideally don't want to spend like 30 plus minutes on just rerolling, and want to just get straight into the game. So it's kind of something that you as the player would have to decide on whether you should reroll.
From
or
my
not.
current understanding, too, it's entirely unnecessary. You can beat the game with just the 4-star units you get.
Yeah, it's completely possible to beat the game with the 4 stars you get, and this is even the 4 stars you get just off playing the game and not summoning whatsoever, which is the MC, Lisa, Amber, and Kea. Just those 4 alone can get you quite far into the game alone. Obviously, at a point you start to feel the need that you want to try and get some other units, but there are ways to go around it, either power leveling a bit more, making sure you grind for the correct artifacts for your units, getting the right weapons for your units, and so on and so forth. So it is very much possible to just solo the game with 4-star units, be it the free ones, or if you summon and only get 4-star units and are unlucky enough to not get a single
Awesome.
5-star.
Okay, so I'm also getting, I'm running around and I'm getting a ton of different items. I don't quite know what's what yet. There's some that are clearly meant for upgrading at levels, and then there's some that are clearly meant for like cooking. What are some of the key items that I need to watch out for that I don't want to just waste and throw away?
Obviously, I think, once you jump into the game, you kind of have an idea of, oh, there's this coin currency that you spend at shops, be it for food, be it for general items, crafting materials, and some other stuff. There's obviously the gacha currency that you use to spend for summoning and so on and so forth that you can save. We will touch up on that in a bit. And then, of course, there is the enhancement ores as well as the experience tomes, which are used for leveling up weapons and characters, respectively. Obviously, these are your core items that you use, but of course, like Prof just mentioned, there are items that you want to pick up, and you want to pick up everything. Ideally, the moment you see an item, it's something you should pick up. Obviously, cooking items such as raw meat, sweet flour, and so on and so forth are very common. However, there are certain items that you can only find in certain areas, and these are very important items purely because they are used for ascending your units. And when I say ascending your units, this is to limit break and uncap your units levels. So if you're stuck at level 20, you will have to go and find these specific items in order to unbreak their level to, or uncap their level to level 40. And you continuously have to do this throughout the game, pretty much. As you level up your adventure rank, you will reach points where you can uncap your unit's levels, and as a result, you will need these items. Sometimes they can amount to, you only need like 10 of these a specific item, but at later ascensions you may need like 70 to 80 of these items. So it is very important to make sure you collect as much as you can at the start of the game. Whatever you can see and whatever you can pretty much click on and pick up, try and pick it up, because in the long run you don't have to go back and search for these items, and instead they will be in your inventory already because you had the foresight.
Yeah, you're talking about leveling and all that. I've been taking it really easy in the game, just kind of running around, just exploring the game itself. I haven't been too concerned with my current power level, if you would. What are some advantages to me leveling up quickly, and how might I go around to maxing out a couple units to fully unlock the game, I guess?
Obviously the perks of leveling up really quickly, be it for your adventure rank and your character levels, is obviously gaining access to the in-game content really quickly. If you're somebody who's really competitive as well, who effectively wants to be the best at what they are doing, and in this case obviously playing the game and ensuring that they are as high of a level, is obviously you're trying to power level. However, currently in the game, since there is no PvP content and there isn't any outstanding rewards for being, quite frankly, the best in the game, you can quite honestly take your time with the game, casually play it, enjoy the world, enjoy the units, and learn the game more than anything else. Because at the end of the day, so far from experiencing the betas and whatnot, it does seem like the only major things in the game right now that we know of is it will be co-op events where you can join with your friends to play certain events, get certain rewards, and of course there will be a PvE leaderboard for doing the Spiral Abyss, but that is endgame content, and that is something that you can challenge at a later point in the game once you have leveled it
Could
up.
you say I'm making any wrong moves right now when I'm playing through, or can I go ahead and just freely level up my units and just dive right in?
I think you can pretty much level up what you want, quite frankly speaking, purely because there isn't a set requirement through the story. Yes, they recommend certain elements for you to use, but they give you a majority of them at the start, especially in the release. I think they give you one of each element, especially once you hit rank 20 with Barbara being the hydro unit of the game. Obviously there's no dendro just yet, which is the grass element. That is not available at all in the game. No unit has that element just yet, but the fact that they can give you like all the elements, you're pretty much given every chance to do whatever you want in the game, choose whoever you want to work on, because every unit is usable. So even if you level up, say, your own main character, that's completely fine. Even if you level up Amber, who's the second character you get, usually in a gacha game that would mean it's probably the worst character in the game. No, you can level up Amber to however much you want. If you want her to be your best character, she can be your best character. It's as simple as that.
So now I want to get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty. You can kind of, I guess, compare this to other gacha games, if you would, so we understand the summoning model. But what's the best banner to summon on right now?
Right now, I would personally say that the Noel banner is the best one to summon on. If you're getting into the game, you will get at AR5, you should be getting 10 Acquaint Fate, which is basically the standard banner currency. Um, it gives you the ability to summon on either the standard banner or the Noel banner. And in my opinion, the Noel banner is better because you're guaranteed a 4-star character. Like I mentioned earlier on, ideally, yes, you don't need to necessarily get 4-star characters, but Noel gives you an advantage purely because she's a Geo unit. That's one of the elements you don't technically get for free. Yes, you can convert your MC or your main character into the Geo version of himself once you access the second region, which is Leeway. However, then you lose the animal element on your team. So it's kind of like you have to kind of micromanage that. What Noel will do is basically take that choice away from you and basically give you a Geo unit for free. Um, I would also recommend doing the second multi as well on the Noel banner purely because it does give you another 4-star character, which can be a dupe or a new character, both of which are absolutely rewarding factors. And I would personally avoid the Venti banner right now purely because you do not have enough for pity multi, and as a result, it just the value of that banner is really low right now. Yes, Venti is a fantastic character, and the rate of 4 stars on that banner are outstanding units. But if you aren't planning on spending on the game and you're just new to the game, you just want to get an idea on the game, I think the beginner's banner is your best bet.
You mentioned pity summons a couple times. Can you explain how the summon system works and how the pity system works in this game?
The pity system is effectively a way for you to effectively get the character or a 5-star character or weapon, depending on the banner you summon on, for free. For example, let's take the Venti banner as the case. After you do 9 multis or 90 singles, it works both ways, by the way. Either way, if you single or multi, the end result will be the same. You will get a 4-star guaranteed on the 10th single or the final pull of the multi, and it's the same for the pity as well. So once you do 90 singles on the banner, you will be guaranteed a 5-star character, and this is if you're summoning on a 5-star rate up character banner. So for example, Venti. And it is a 50% chance on that specific multi to get the rate up 5-star. So for example, if I was on the 9th multi and I had my 5-star guaranteed, it would either be a 50% chance of getting Venti or a 50% chance of getting another 5-star that is unfeatured on the banner or not rate up on the banner. And then after that, if you don't get Venti on that 9th multi and you do another 9 multis, you will be guaranteed Venti on that 18th multi effectively. So this is the reason why I highly recommend, if you want to, save up for when you can do the pity multi, especially if you're not spending on the game. I will say Venti is a top tier unit, but it's something that I don't recommend summoning on purely because the rates we know are quite, unfortunately, not the best rates of any gacha game. It is a 0.6% rate for a character, but it's something, but because of the pity multi, you can kind of avoid taking a risk like that. And obviously, I also recommend doing singles. The risk is lowered because you are taking your time with singling, but rather than doing a multi where you could potentially overspend if you get say one of the 5-stars early on in the multi, the rest of the multi was pretty much unnecessary for you to do, kind of thing. So you're saving resources by just singling, because the end result for singles and multis, as I mentioned, is pretty much the same.
Okay. So I guess we can talk about the combat a bit. I've kind of gotten used to using a few combos. I've been using a character named Barbara and been combining her with my electric characters, and that's been a lot of fun. So is there any others that I should be knowing out for? I've seen wind plus fire. I've seen the electric and water. Is there any other basic things that I should be looking out for with the vanilla roster?
Yes, the combat system, while off the on surface level, seems pretty one-dimensional in the sense of the combo attacks when you're not using any elements is pretty much the straightforward attack slash move on kind of thing. It does get a lot more intricate, not necessarily intricate, but it becomes a lot more interesting once you involve elements into it. Like you mentioned, electric and water is a fantastic elemental reaction, and elemental reactions are basically where one element reacts with another. It's as simple as that. And this applies to a whole range of combinations. You can do it with ice and fire, which leads to melt, ice and electric, which becomes a superconductor effectively. Um, Electric and water, as you mentioned, as well, is electrifying it. Fire and water vaporizes, it still does more damage. So all of these combinations add up, and you can basically deal more damage using these elemental reactions. So you could pull off some amazing combinations, and these can be done across all characters. You can do it with your free characters like Lisa and Amber can overload an enemy if you say electrify it first and then use her Amber's fire bows, or vice versa. And you could use Kea plus Amber, freeze the opponent, and then go into Amber to burn them or melt them, I should say, and so on and so forth. So there are a variety and a host of elemental reactions you can do across all the characters, and a combination. You can pull off combos with various characters you want.
So, when right now I'm just kind of going through the story, and I'm enjoying it. I there's nothing I feel like I'm lacking. I'm about to hit co-op, but that's just going to be another journey when I get there. So this doesn't feel like a typical MMO, if you would, where I'm just aiming at the top level. So what is the end game, and how will I know when I got there, and what am I doing?
To be honest, right now the end game I would say is quite clearly Spiral Abyss. This unlocks at AR20, and you will know that it is the end game content due to its increasing pretty much difficulty. The first 8 floors are basically solo battles that you do. You cannot eat in the dungeon. You cannot revive yourself in the dungeon, and so on and so forth. It is a daunting set of tasks that you have to achieve in the Abyss. If there's any comparison to any gacha game, I would say, like, take for example, we'll talk about Dokkan here. Dokkan's Battlefield is a perfect example of what the Spiral Abyss is compared to, I would say, because you take a set of a team. Basically, you cannot eat, cannot revive, cannot heal back up, apart from obviously your unit skills, and you just have to go through these series of battles effectively. The reason why it also is the end game is also because once you beat floor 8, and I will also add this, is that between floor 5 and floor 8 you have to take 2 teams. You can't take 2 teams of 2 or 2 teams of 4. It's dependent on how much of risk you're willing to take and how confident you are in your units. But once you beat floor 8, you will unlock what is effectively a secondary set of floors of the Spiral Abyss, and this is where the PvE leaderboard comes in. So if you're somebody who's looking for a challenge and you're looking to compete with other people, show your team off and show your account off, shall we say, that is the place to do it pretty much. Apart from that, there isn't necessarily another piece of endgame content apart from, I'd guess, co-op events pretty much, which is yet to release, of course. The last co-op event we had during the beta was called the Elemental Crucible event. Effectively, it is where you and a group of your friends will basically take on a gauntlet, and you will be trying to collect a lot of miniature orbs and cubes to basically put into a device while fighting off waves of enemies.
That's cool. Well, I guess that kind of answers everything. I just had a couple random questions that didn't really fit in anywhere. I haven't found any dailies. It seems that there might be dailies when it comes to like shops refreshing, but is there anything I need to go ahead and start doing or get in a habit of doing every day in this game, or do I just kind of run around, collect resources, and enjoy myself like I've been doing?
Of course, there are dailies in the game. It unlocks at rank 14. At rank 12 you get an indication of it, but at rank 14 you get a proper taste of it, and that is the commissions. The commissions are basically 4 sets of tasks you're given by the guild effectively to go around and do. It gives you around, I think, 150 to 200 primo gems, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. My numbers have been a bit wonky, I would say, in regards to that. But I'm definitely sure that they gave you around 1.25k experience, or 1,250 AR experience. So that is really, really helpful for if you're trying to power level as well your adventure rank. And it is something that I would highly recommend everybody does, because that's one way to kind of push your level higher if you really want to. Another thing is, of course, trying to use your resin. Your resin is basically your stamina for the day, and you can use it for leyline blossoms, which can either give you, depending on which one you select, the blue one or the gold one. The blue one gives you adventure exp, so, or not adventure exp, your uh, your tomes to level up your units, I should say. Sorry about that. Your tomes to level up your units, and the gold one, which gives you, well, mora for you to spend on obviously leveling up your artifacts, your weapons, and so on and so forth. So you can spend it on those two things. Another place you can use your stamina is on bosses. These bosses are very, very much needed to be tackled, because they can give you a host of artifacts, they can give you ascension material you'll need for your units, and overall it also gives you a lot of adventure exp. So it is highly recommended you kind of micromanage between those two. And finally, and this is something that you kind of do, I wouldn't say end game, this is something that you do once you work on your 4-star and 5-star weapons and artifacts, is start tackling the domains in and around the world, basically, because that's where you'll start getting a lot more of your 4-star and 5-star artifacts, as well as the ascension material required for your weapons as well. So that is something you need to kind of micromanage your way around in your day. See what you need the most. If you need to tackle the bosses one day, focus on your bosses. If you feel like you need to level up your units but you don't have enough tomes, work on the leyline blossoms, and so on and so forth.
That about wraps up all the questions I had for you.
I had a question. I know it's kind of weird, but I'm sure people are probably going to wonder about this as well. We have adventure rank within the game, right? So what is exactly the world level, and what does it actually do for you in your game, as well as, I guess, across the board for everybody else?
That's actually a really good question, because I forgot to mention about world level. World level is basically the difficulty of your world, effectively. I think that's the best way to put it. Basically, what happens is when your world level goes up at certain ranks, usually it's every 5 ranks it goes up, or sometime at later stages I think it goes up every 10 ranks. Your world level increases the level of the enemies you face in your world. That includes the bosses, the average Joe enemies you face across the world. And overall, it also increases the level of drops you get in terms of the rarity as well, from the enemies. So you start getting like the ascension materials that you need for unlocking your higher tier or higher level units as well. And this allows you to basically get an easier way to uncap your units as well. In regards to how it affects your world as such, when people come in, players with a lower world level than you cannot join your world if you are higher than them. However, you can join people's worlds if they are lower than you. So it's just kind of a way to stop people from entering a world and getting resources maybe a bit too quickly, a lot of resources too quickly, or a higher level of resources. But also on top of that, to avoid people from effectively dying too much in other people's worlds because they were under leveled and they joined a player whose world level is like 3 times higher, or like 2 or 3 levels higher, effectively.
So you said that it was like every 5 or 10 levels, something like that, where your world level goes up. Currently, just for me anyway, I'm adventure rank 12 and my world level is still 0, so don't know when it's gonna go up.
I think the first world level comes in at rank 20, I think, and then from there I think it's every 5 levels until like rank 35 or 40, where it turns to 10, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, and I could be messing up the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
So you said that it was like every 5 or 10 levels, something like that, where your world level goes up. Currently, just for me anyway, I'm adventure rank 12 and my world level is still 0, so don't know when it's gonna go up.
No, the highest adventure rank, as far as we know, is 65. That is what it was in the beta. At this moment in time, I'm pretty sure that is also applicable in the launch game. I do not believe, as far as I know, I'm not sure if they'll ever go beyond 65 because at a point, I think we did around a month and a half of the beta, and of course, having some people play it casually, some people tried rushing their way through the ranks, and I know a lot of people did manage to get to around 38 or 40 in a month and a half or 2 months time. So yeah, basically we know that the last rank is 65, and yeah, I don't think they're planning on increasing the level anytime soon. I doubt it, because then it comes down to the question of if they will uncap the units levels as well, because right now the max unit level is, if I'm not mistaken, 80. It could be 90, but I think it's 80. And if they do decide to increase the level uncap, or uncap the adventure rank, will they also uncap the units level? So will it go higher than 80 and go to like 90 or 100 and so on and so forth? So it will give a lot of questions. At this moment in time, I think 65 is going to be the limit for the near future. Maybe once they add the 5th and 6th cities, maybe the question can start popping in if we're going to get a uncap beyond 65.
Well, that's interesting. And I assume, like, except after level 20, then at world level starts going up and up and up, and I assume 65, and then also caps the world level at whatever the highest for that is.
Yes, that is where I think. Well, I don't think any of us have unfortunately reached level 65 in the beta, as far as I know.
Right. I don't think anyone currently has reached that. That would be insane if someone did that. That would probably be borderline hacking at that point. I think,
100%. I don't think anybody has reached that level, either in the beta or right now. I highly doubt now, as you said. But I assume once you reach 65, the world level kind of stagnates, and that is where it pretty much is for the foreseeable future, at least.
Yeah, so that wraps up every question that I had for you. I think Hydros has gone through all of his, correct?
Yeah, yep. Y'all pretty much got everything that I was looking for as well. So,
well, Gil, thank you very much for your time today.
No problem, man. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody play Genshin, and I'm looking forward to join you guys in the world.
All right, man. Looking forward to it.